little side tangent
Yep.
that I wanted to drop. You know our fun-filled boy Rackets, right?
Yep.
So I was listening to Matt at the internet, and Robert Barnes may be having an ethics complaint filed against him.
What did he do, supposedly?
Well,
Allegedly.
well, you know how he has said Andrew was a sex tourist,
Yeah.
legal mindset,
Yeah.
and how the Kiwi Farms wanted to find like the body cam footage to see the pictures of the kids.
Yeah.
Well, what if I told you that he was referred to a certain someone by Nick Rakieta,
Oh.
and that certain someone was Joshua Connor Moon and LawCal LLC?
Oh.
So he is now saying that a former client wants pictures of children,
Oh.
and he was a client of Josh Moon and the Kiwi Farms.
Oh my God. Oh my
And
God.
do you want to hear something funny?
This further feeds into my, just go off on a tangent for a second. This further feeds into my thing of you just don't fuck with Josh. Like he's one of
Okay.
those people like you don't fuck with.
Well, yeah, but here's the funny thing too, and the thing about Andrew being a sex tourist.
Yeah.
What if I told you that one of the board of directors for LawCal LLC was Legal Mindset? So here you're now
Oh.
saying this about a former client and owner of a company that was a client of yours, as well as another board member of the board of directors of this company.
Oh my God. Okay, Belinda. So basically, Barnes, who's one of the biggest nose guarder, the biggest advocate of Nick out there, so to speak, um, in size and in mouth, he has basically made some disparaging remarks about Josh Moon, Null, and the Kiwi Farms and Locale.
LawCal LLC, basically, it's the company that operates the Kiwi Farms, basically, because he
Okay,
incorporated it.
Okay, so Lolcow, who owns Kiwi Farms, is the company behind Kiwi Farms. So when Barnes said some disparaging remarks about them, they were former clients. So he's basically making these disparaging remarks about a former client, which is a direct violation of ethics.
Yeah, because it could be saying that you're saying this and you have inside information about this company.
What did I wonder what Barnes represented him on? Because then they could also go back on that case potentially.
Well, Josh said that it was like some like one of those like I don't like my thread, pull it down and copywriting thing, and he paid him $5,000 to show up for the Zoom meeting. Barnes shows up and the judge just throws the case out anyway. So he basically was like I just paid him 5K to just make an appearance, but he technically was a client, which is now violating that
Yeah,
I guess that
but
ethical standard of
yeah,
not speaking out about your clients publicly.
the attorney-client privileges. Yeah.
Yeah, and Andrew is obviously a board of member, like a board on the board of directors for LawCal LLC. So you're saying that one of the board members is a sex tourist, and that Josh Moon wants body cam so he could see Nick Rakieta's children. That could be linked. That you could basically, in a long roundabout way, say that Kiwi Farms is doing illegal things because obviously, like, and it just makes no sense. Like,
it's almost too bad that they didn't lose that case because then he could also sue Barnes on top of it.
oh yeah, yeah,
And be like he
looking
deliberately
back
lost
now,
this
yeah.
because he had these, who knows how long he had these opinions of this board member as well as myself, so he lost
Yeah,
this on purpose. Like you could do that
yeah,
and really fuck the dude.
yeah. Even so, like he's like, he on the Mad at the Internet. He was like, I don't know if I want to do it, but I'm really considered heavily doing it because that makes the farms look bad because
Yeah,
that is literally disparaging his business.
yeah,
And Kiwi Farms has enough and like a worse enough rep with everybody saying false things. Now you have somebody that's like
yeah. Making
supposedly
disparaging
former.
remarks about not
Yeah,
only the creator but one of the board members.
Yeah, and you have also then legally been involved with them, so like, you're saying false things about things that you might actually be sort of hinting that you would have a look behind the curtain, so to speak.
Well, speaking of, I didn't really get into it because it didn't technically apply to this stream, but to apply, and I'll snip this little bit out. Um, Along with the whole thing that you just told us about Barnes and all that, the other side of the nose guarding EVS, have you heard that he's backed out of his position?
Wait, so now he's like, so now no longer the 9-year-old's not the coke fiend now?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Here, I'm gonna take this. I'll take this off the stream, but I'll share it once I get it. But yeah, EVS basically walked back his previous statements regarding Nick Rakieta and all that.
oh, Huggies, and do you want me to let him in?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me,
I think if you right click on their name and then it's like right at the top.
oh, invite to speak. There you go.
Oh
I,
my god.
there we
Greetings.
go.
How you doing, Huggy?
Hello.
Greetings. I saw you lovely people on the stage and I figured, why not? Why not be part
Do
of
not use
the festivities?
Yeah, here, watch this. He totally walks this shit back to no other than Alex Stein and then says that, oh yeah, I'm not Nick's best friend and all this shit. Here, let me share it. Boom.
Are you,
Go live.
are
All
you,
right.
wait, are you serious that he's not?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this is his own words. Yeah.
the news that's going on right now is not good. There was a little document that was released to the public for some reason. A little document that made it out onto the interwebs. Did you guys see this? That basically was about Nick Rakieta, our dear friend, Nick Rakieta, who I have denounced, by the way. I saw you calling me Nick's best friend. I'm here to renounce and denounce.
No, do not
Nick
denounce
Rakieta.
because you were right the whole time,
Too
dude.
late. I'm here to denounce him. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I've told that guy so many times, and I tell everybody in my audience, just say no.
Mm-hmm.
Just say no. And if some savvy 9-year-old comes up to you slinging cocaine, what's it called?
Cocaina, yayo, booger sugar.
You're supposed
Snow
to
White,
say no. I don't
Colombian
care.
Bam Bam.
I don't care how cool and
What the fuck
slick
is he
and fast
on?
talking that.
Yeah, he's going with the Reagan stance of the just say no. Nancy Reagan's biggest win. The war on drugs and just say no.
Oh my god. Well, Huggy, do you know about what's been happening with the 9-year-old?
Huggy
I know about
actually
the
covered it.
9-year-old.
Yeah. He actually covered it on his stream pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like, what? Like, he's now trying to, like, say, like, the 9-year-old was, like,
Yeah,
the coke
he is both distancing himself from Nick Rakieta while at the same time still sitting there saying, if a 9-year-old comes at you with a packet of drugs, just say no, like Rancy Nagin told us.
So I'm supposed to believe the 9-year-old little girl is the Johnny Depp in Black Betty?
Yes.
It's not Nick Rakieta, the lawyer with hundreds of thousands of dollars that could do it? It's the 9-year-old with her, what, fucking Barbie trike?
Yes. She was running that yayo corridor between her bedroom and her parents'
Well,
coke
I
den.
mean, it would be brilliant because what cop would pull over a child for a drug bust?
Do you know how long it takes to ride a tricycle to Minneapolis from Walmart?
Right, you just crack open the big wheel, and like in the big wheel, there's like little baggies lined. It's like this is how we get through the border. Like what the fuck? Like, oh my god, like
It gets better.
9-year-old is. You say, no, thank you. I do not use drugs. Yeah, Nick's been very kind to me. So I don't have any reason to viciously turn on him and put a knife in his back. I think that I've experienced that quite a bit from people that I've been kind to, and they've just, when it was convenient, put a knife in my back. I'm not anxious to do that to anyone myself, but as more of these allegations come out, it is kind of sad. And, it's outside of my or your control what ends up happening to Nick, and whatever happens to him via the justice system. I'm going to nod my head like this. A lot of people are like, Nick Rakieta is Ethan's friend. these people, the other day, like somebody goes, Ethan is the biggest broom holding up house for Rakieta. What the hell? Like me? I never even got to party with the guy. All my friends got to actually party with him. I'm just kind of like, my thing is just like, he's always been nice to me. I'm not going to stick a knife in his back like that. Like, I'm not going to immediately stick a knife in this guy's back, no matter what he's up to, unless he's up to something real bad.
But fuck them kids. Fuck the kids all the way.
Right. And do you know how they do the test that they did?
They pull it from from what I was reading, they pull it from like 6 or 8 different points on the head.
Yeah.
They pull hairs, and then so they're testing like the spectrum of the skull. And so it's not just like a small immediate like group, kind of like Aaron Imalte believes. Where
Yeah, no. Like, cause Null actually explained it really well. They take the hair and they superheat it,
Mhm.
and it melts and makes a gas, and then they shine light through it. And
Yep.
there is light that can only be blocked by certain chemicals that are in cocaine. So everybody that's been saying that like it's ADHD medication and stuff,
No,
those
it's
aren't the
totally
same
different spectrum.
chemicals. Yeah, exactly. So like it's not, oh, she must have just got a head pat with some coke covered hands,
Well,
or
and it's a
like no.
totally different fucking brand of medication. Those are amphetamines. Like
Yeah.
fucking speed and shit like that. Adderall, all of that's amphetamines. Like, so it's not even
Yeah,
going to
'cause
show up the same because I believe cocaine's barbiturates. I believe.
I think so.
Or
Cause I know my kid's on ADHD medication, and it's
let me
and
get on
it's
the ATF's list. I haven't been on a list in a minute.
oh well, yeah. Let me help you out there. Timothy McVeigh did nothing wrong. Oh, just kidding. We don't support domestic terrorism.
Today.
Yeah, just foreign.
So let's see. It's a benzochlorine. Benzochlorine. It's
Oh, it's a benzo then.
yeah.
So okay, that makes sense then. So yeah, it would be a different spectrum because it would be totally different gases.
I figured it was something along those lines because BZ is the actual denotation that I seen when I was looking up the chemical testing, because I even looked to see, okay, so what is the 5,000 versus 500, and it's micrograms per pectogram. So basically it's kind of a very very refined snapshot, okay? And 500
Okay.
would be like a monthly user
Yeah,
or
like
like
they
But
party
described it
user.
as like yeah, they described it as like
people,
a daily user versus like a party goer, yeah.
Yeah. What were you
she's
gonna-
9 years old, gentlemen.
yeah.
9 years old. What we okay, not you, but what the people talking about? First of all, the fact that there's cocaine anywhere on a 9-year-old's body is cause for alarm.
Well, and then
The fucking
there's the thought process that when you're coming in contact with actual cash currency, there's traces of all sorts of drugs that have been.
in the fucking hair.
But that's the thing is that even with that, like, it's not enough that it should have shown at that high a level. It should have been under
Exactly.
500.
That's like a daily user sort of level. So like some people were saying that maybe they thought that they were medicating her for ADHD with it, which if that's the case, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it's
If
just,
that's what they were doing.
so what I saw, it fell in between the week to daily user. So I would say probably like 3 times a week at the maximum to
Yeah.
weekly at the minimum. So somewhere in and around there is where how much she was being exposed to it on like a quantifiable basis. And it's like that doesn't even say like how many like lines that would be. I don't know if that would be like doing a line literally every other day, or if that's the equivalent of doing a line once a week, or if it's like an actual quantifiable amount, like maybe doing a gram or something,
Yeah.
or a half gram.
And something that I find really disturbing too is that when it was coming out, Josh asked his Minnesota lawyer that's not Barnes,
Yep.
um, do you think this is true? And he was like, I think it's like 60%. And then Rakieta comes out and I guess messaged Josh before the stream saying the government is lying, so basically confirmed that the document is real.
Oh yeah, well he even did beyond that, because when he starts initially talking, and I plan on going over this eventually, but when he initially starts talking, he sits there and he says some documents were released that shouldn't have been released regarding
Yeah,
a case
leaked.
that people shouldn't have access to.
And then that they didn't sign any CPS thing, that they're really trying to do like the whole we have our sovereign citizen rights and you don't want to see your kid. Like, I would die if I couldn't see my son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the fact that he thinks that like this is like some political position to dig your heels in, it as a parent it makes me actually sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand his thought process. What is this?
What if I told you that
Belinda shared that there is actually like an FDA approved, here, I'll put this up. There is actually an FDA approved methamphetamine, which is kind of funny. See, like
Used FDA.
I know that all opioids are basically derivatives of the same properties of as heroin and all that. I mean, especially when you get up closer to like morphine.
Yeah, because it's all poppy.
Yeah. So yeah, I know that, and it's not there's even synthetics and all that you can get into, but yeah, so I have always known and would stand behind, like, yeah, the government does use actually like branded versions of drugs, or they will change their stance depending on things. But either way, that
Can
would
you
still be a controlled substance to the point that like a 9-year-old shouldn't have access to that, and typically they wouldn't.
can you just imagine going to the store and just getting like the FDA approved stamp on meat, just going up and getting like packets of cocaine? They just have
Yeah.
the FDA golden stamp on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There is no justifiable reason for it to occur. Period. Point blank. Whatever. Like, there's no fucking reason. There's no reason for that large of an amount to be in a kid. Now, like, I could sit there and argue, like, okay, if there was traces found, they were in a house that had cocaine. But the other fact is that the other 4 children didn't have any traces.
Yeah, and that's the part that really I find upsetting,
Yeah.
is the fact that it's the youngest one.
Second youngest. It was the second youngest.
Oh, was it not the youngest?
No, there is one younger child.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if that's good or not. I was about to say, well, that's good, but it's still a 9-year-old, right? We're not talking about like the 16-year-old taking bumps with dad out in the
Yeah.
garage.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. And then, there's another side to this that, like, hell, I didn't even think about it till just now. Like, I bet you that those older kids were probably trying like hell to be away from things, especially the 2 oldest, because if they were in any sort of sports program and all that, they can get piss tested. A lot of schools will do that for any drugs. And they would risk their ability to play on the team and everything. So that brings into that whole fucking side of it. Like, that's probably why those kids A, tried to stay so clean, and B, it's even worse that you put them in jeopardy because you had them in the house with how everything was so freely open, from the sounds of it, allegedly.
Yeah, I just hope that Rakieta is right and that it is a government conspiracy, because I don't like what it would be if it's not. Honestly, like I hope that's what it is, because I don't like the result if it isn't, you know?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, like, God, I don't believe that any rural small town cop force would be competent enough to put together this large of an conspiracy. Like, I could understand, like, okay, they lied about this, they lied about that, like, particular points, but to say that the whole fucking thing is rotten to the core is a bit of a leap for me.
Right? Like, I was imagining it like in Futurama, like the one part where they're like beating the one guy and then like, oh no, he has a gun, and the robot just drops a gun. I just pictured them like beating Ricada and be like, oh no, he has drugs, and they just drop this brick of cocaine.
Why is that cop carrying a safe into the house?
Right? Did you dust Prince? Did you make sure that it wasn't if it wasn't Officer Daniels
Yeah.
that get there?
Well, again, that was one of EVS's points. He wanted the house dusted for prints for the children.
Jesus. And what's gonna happen when the body cam is released and it turns out that it wasn't
Yeah,
implanted,
yeah.
right?
Oh, they'll
Like, what are
they'll
you gonna
say
do then?
something. They'll be like, "Oh, it's doctored footage or whatever,"
Well,
and
they
they'll
had to censor. That was part of the 60 hours they had to work on it to censor it.
yeah. They clearly edit it. Look, there's a jump cut.
Like we're gonna get commentary videos, like YouTube commentary videos on like the Nick Rakieta body cam footage.
Oh yeah. I
I
know
can't wait
I
for
know whenever the
praise of
fuck it comes
Shadow.
out, I'm doing it. I'm fucking doing it. Because I'm
I
just
can't
one.
wait for I can't wait for In Praise of Shadows to do one.
Oh my god. I'm gonna play this. See what he has to say.
I'm not going to stick a knife in his back. He's been kind to me. I wish him well. And that's it. That's the entire internet is perfectly willing to do that. And then I get called the broom that's sweeping up House Rakieta and holding it up like, what the hell, man? So I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that I was the only pillar that was still keeping his whole legacy alive. I had no idea. Did you guys know that? I mean, were you guys aware that it's me doing this? Like everything depends on me? Why didn't you say something to me?
I mean, EVS. Barnes is a little bit busy waging war against Josh right now. You're all
Yeah.
that's left.
Yeah. I don't know. There was even some doubt of brewing on Dick Masterson and Vito's side where they're like, "Oh, that doesn't look good."
Oh wow. So now.
Yeah, yeah. Now, they were okay with it up till the 9-year-old actually used the drug that they accused the 9-year-old of selling. Now,
Right? And I'll bring it back to like what the stream is about now, but like how they say, like I was saying in chat earlier though, but like you can't just threaten to shoot Riley. Well, okay, but he showed up to his relative's grave.
yep,
He showed up to his business, and now imagine that I'm an Eric July fan, or I not even an Eric July fan. I'm just like, oh, what's in this area? Like that one guy and
yep.
they just walk in and be like, "Oh, cool, comic book. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, what's this about?" And there's this like manlet outside dressed up as a superhero with his discount OnlyFans cameraman screaming about ISOM. Like, yeah, Eric might not be afraid, but what about the office workers and his making the pallets of ISOM?
Yeah.
What about like the guy that's showing up at the event? Like, yeah, Eric might not be afraid, but I don't know what like this manlet's gonna do. I mean, he's dressed up as a superhero with underwear on his fucking outside of his pants while this clearly autistic woman is screaming about young Flippa. Like, are
You-
you threatening to stab me with scissors?
well, not only that,
Like,
like, how long do you let that go on for before you say, like, look, no, this could potentially negatively impact my business? Like, just from a strictly business point of view, like, there's got to be a point where you turn around and you're like, look, this just doesn't look good for the brand. I've got this cat molester out here sitting here saying that my comic is bad. Now I've got this this loud tiny man screaming that it's also bad, critiquing it because I didn't write it as a novella. And now, I've got this other portly dude showing up at my door with his only fan girlfriend.
right? Oh, and you know what? Coming back to that too. This is something I also learned today from the wonderful archiver known as Josh O'Connor Moon. Did you know how that book that you showed last stream got printed?
No.
That book got printed because of Maddox.
Oh.
Because
So,
they didn't want to print this random guy's book. So he had a foreword written by Maddox who was on good terms with the printer to get his books printed, and that's what he used to get onto Dr. Phil then to get the trolling, play the misogynistic Masterson character, to basically start his career.
oh
And
my
then he
god.
burned Maddox.
And then he burned that bridge. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's another lore dump. I don't know if anyone in the audience has actually known about. But yeah, no, the only
Wait a
reason
minute.
that his book got published was Maddox.
Oh God, I gotta do something now. I'm gonna detract again
Yeah,
or derail,
because,
but yeah.
because and while you do that, apparently that some of the women on that episode of Dr. Phil were so upset about the way that they were portrayed that they don't have that episode in syndication.
At least the
Shut up.
So in Sweden, or I think it's Sweden or one of the Northlandic Icelandic countries or whatever, they have a library kind of like our library in
Yep.
America that anything that airs on their TV networks, they archive. Dick Masterson was so desperate to get this glory shot moment he had that he went there and got a copy of that episode that was pulled out of syndication because they were threatening to sue Dr. Phil. He got a copy from one of these like Icelandic nations
Oh
so
my
he could
God.
relive his glory days that built his career.
You know what's really funny though? Listen to Dick's opinion in the beginning of this on himself. It's something that ties into Vito and Dick, and it's kind of funny you mentioned all that stuff with Maddox.
Us gals. Beforehand, I was giving away Vito's food hacks, how to maximize your dollar.
You never answered Ralph's question though. How many apps do you have?
At least,
your...
yeah, you didn't answer. Like 12. I have the Wendy's app. The Wendy's app, you get it.
How many scrolls do you have to do on your food app folder? 1, 2,
no,
3,
only there's
4.
2 pages. And Taco Bell, you know how they always have like those boxes with like, you know the cheesy.
No, I don't know how Taco Bell has boxes.
Well, you don't, they call it the crave box with like 2 stuff that they give you.
Oh God.
I don't need the Vito talking about his other lust here. Hold
on. That's how they get.
That's how they get you. Oh, so you're like.
Huh?
I didn't know that was Ralph at first. Like, holy shit, I need to disappear in Mexico for a year and start doing drugs or something because he used to be fatter than me and now I'm a little upset.
TV fights.
Single TV.
Like, if
That's
you
a good
mean
one.
physical experience, like feeling threatened.
Yeah.
Mental experience, it was like, well, my mom.
What the hell? What the hell? Oh, they must have just ended.
They cucked us. Damn you.
I know it's like right in the beginning. I'm trying to find this. This is totally unscripted. Boom.
Yeah, you
At
didn't
least
answer.
like 12. I have the Wendy's app.
Okay, we already saw that.
Tattoos.
No, apparently he's Subway. He's a pre-Subway weight again.
No.
No.
Yeah,
in prison.
No.
Yeah, he's just been.
No, he just got through telling me that too. By the way.
Oh, come on. Now it's really gonna hate me because I'm trying to do this.
Me too.
He's got a nice way of talking. Well, Mr. Flash, that a mighty fine comic book you got here today.
Yeah,
I like that guy.
He talks.
Well, I think it might have just been part of the I don't know, maybe it was part of their like a little pre-show or something. I can't find it, scrubbing real quick. But basically, so they had Ethan Ralph on tonight, right? And they're talking, and Dick Masterson's just like, oh, well, you know, people are just jealous of, you know, people who have made themselves and are self-made and everything at one point. And talking now, listening to how Maddox actually was able to really basically get him anything. It's just kind of funny to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm self-made," when you're really not.
Yeah, no, like Maddox pretty much astroturfed him pretty much at the beginning, and then, yeah, don't get me wrong, like Dick did do the work after that, but I don't think he would have gotten where he was without that initial bump.
No, definitely not. All right, I'm gonna go back to playing this, and we'll see what EVS has to say here. This is pretty fun cope, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't know. I would have worked. I would have been. I don't know. I would have done something differently. I would have moved differently had I known that. Hirashi Mataru says drug tests using hair are a sham, not trustworthy.
They're already starting.
Yeah, I don't know
false,
anything
too,
about
because
it.
Noel
Like people
said
go, "What do you
earlier
think?"
Huh?
That Noel said earlier that actually the test is renowned for cocaine as being the most accurate.
Yeah, it is. I actually looked in the literature that I was looking at. Blood tests, urine tests, and all that scored much lower than hair follicle testing. Now, maybe there's also different like versions of hair follicle testing, but I would assume mass spectrum is probably the most prevalent.
For cocaine, it is, and that's ironically what they used.
Think of it, and my responsible answer is, I don't fucking know. I don't know. Who knows? My guess about this situation, if I were to guess, based on absolutely nothing, and I don't know, because I mean the numbers, they go, it's 5,000 over 500. I'm like, holy shit, that seems like a lot of cocaine, but I don't know what it is. So my guess is probably cocaine residue was left maybe on the counter or something like that, and the kid interacted with it in some way. Probably not the kid snorting drugs. But again, what do I know? I don't know that for fact. I mean, we're gonna, I just assume the world that I live in doesn't really contain 9-year-olds that use cocaine, but that's the world that I live in, and I don't know about the rest of the world.
But his world does contain kids that deal drugs, just not child drug users.
And that's the insane part of it too, because they actually clean the hairs.
Yeah.
like you're talking about like, oh, maybe they just spilled the cocaine on themselves like it was coffee in a coffee shop, and it's like, no, it's not, because if you look at it, it's the chemical composition of the hair.
Yeah, and like if you look at like here, I'll see if I can pull up a good. Like it's kind of like a tree in a way. Like it's layered. So what they're testing for is all the stuff on the inside of the hair. They really do want it to be as sterile on the outside as possible. So like here's a pretty good drawing. They're looking for the stuff that's going to be inside of this main like core of the hair. Like so anything on contact is going to basically not be measurable. And again, they're taking it from 8 different points. So even by that theory, the kid would have to like head dive into a pile of cocaine.
Yeah, like at that point, it had to have been in her system and ingested, so because it would have had to travel through the bloodstream and get into her cells, basically. Like,
yeah. I find it funny, like just the amount of people that just don't even understand like what they're looking at here. Because like Aaron and Molte basically went on about like how April or one of them like did drugs and like tested it on their gums, or licked the mirror and put it on their gums. It's kind of a typical thing. And then kissed the kid, and that's how the transfer of cocaine ended up on this kid.
yeah, I guess they were using coke that much, and they were loving that kid that much that it got regular use status. So that kid must have been really loved.
Oh my god. Cocaine addiction by osmosis. I would fucking love that.
Right? Trying to act like it's secondhand smoke.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, that's all that's going on in the world of Nick Rakieta. I'll cut all that shit out. That's just some of the shit though. But yeah, I had to show you guys that. But
Yeah, I'm sorry for derailing it
no,
a
you're
little bit
fine.
there, but I just figured that I wanted to drop that, and also the EVS lore that I knew about, just because I think that sort of helps
No, that does. That
kind of
absolutely
paint
does.
that picture
Yeah.
of like, well, this is just seemingly like what he's been doing around 2016, 2017. Sort of like drawing up that publicity for Cyberfrog and like that fighting, come
Yep.
support me tribal sports.
Oh my god.